Welcome to this episode of Our College, Your Voices. I'm your host, Kara Monroe. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the American Association of Community Colleges, or as we'll probably refer to it in the episode, AACC, which is the primary advocacy organization for the nation's community college. Specifically, we're going to be talking about 9 commissions that the AACC has that were established to provide advice to the AACC board and staff, to encourage collaboration among community colleges across the country, to provide a forum for focused conversations about important community college issues and priorities, and to provide for increased involvement in the association and to provide leadership opportunities for members of the AACC Board of Directors who serve as the chairs of the commission. Last year, Ivy Tech put forward 10 individuals to serve on those commissions, and all 10 were selected. Today, Ivy Tech leaders who served on AACC commissions will discuss their experience and their roles in hopes of encouraging more Ivy Tech representatives to apply and participate. We will include in the show notes the 9 commissions, along with how many Ivy Tech individuals have expressed interest thus far, and we hope that many more of you will express interest. So let's meet our panel. First up is John Cowles. Hi, John.
Hi, Kara. How are you?
I'm good. Can you tell us a little bit more about you and specifically which commission you served on?
Sure. I'm the Vice Chancellor for Student Success at Indianapolis, and I serve on the Commission for Student Success.
Excellent. Very good. And next up is Matt Probst. Hi, Matt.
Hello, Kara.
Can you tell us a little bit about you and which commission you served on?
I serve currently on the Commission of Student Success, and I am actively the Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs at the Lawrenceburg campus, and I've been with the college right at 20 years.
Excellent. Welcome. And next up is Dean McCurdy. Hi, Dean.
Hi, Kara. Dean McCurdy, Chancellor for the Kokomo service area. Been with the college for 3+ years now, and I serve on the Commission on Structured Pathways. And we also have Dr. Rod Brown from the Indianapolis campus serving on that commission as well.
Excellent. And last but not least is David Baith. Hi, David.
Hi, Kara. Thanks for asking us today. I'm the Chancellor in Lafayette. I've served 22 years here at the college, and I am on the Commission for Small and Rural Colleges.
Excellent. And you are retiring in, I think you said 17 weeks from when we're recording this, correct?
17 weeks. That is correct.
All right. It'll be a little less than that by the time the episode releases, probably about 13 weeks, if my math is correct, by the time the episode releases. All right. So let's jump in and dig into our conversation here. So you each serve on different commissions. Tell us a little bit about what your experience has been like on those different commissions.
My experience on serving on the Student Success Commission has been great so far. Matthew also serves on that commission with me, so he can also add to this. But it's an opportunity to meet national individuals and folks from across the country at different community colleges and interact with them and get up-to-date things on what is happening in Washington and what's happening nationally. So it's been great so far. I've really enjoyed it.
And just to add, since I serve on that same commission as Matthew, I mean, it's really a very enlightening experience to hear that a lot of what we're doing is out in the forefront of other institutions. And we do get a lot of questions about how we're implementing different initiatives. And one, in the last time we met, was asked about was the Learn Anywhere model. Quite a few questions about that, and it was nice to be able to explain that to our peers nationally.
So how much time per month are you devoting to work on the commissions that you serve on?
I'm probably doing 4 or 5 hours. My commission is linked to another organization that I'm involved with, which is the Community College Alliance for Agriculture. And so there is an overlap, but it is not terribly time consuming, but I would say it's very important work because it does involve providing direction that would promote the community colleges at the federal government, and that ultimately leads to how we can receive federal funds and how policy is directed. So important activities. The commission that I'm on is actually the largest, which might mean that we share a little more opportunities and others can carry a little bit more. So I may have a smaller amount of time than others.
The commission that I'm on, Structured Pathways, it's an amazing group. It's about a dozen community college leaders from around the country. And, we regularly have conversations with national leaders in this field. So selfishly, it's a chance to talk with folks who have, in one case, literally written the book on guided pathways. So Davis Jenkins, for example, from the Community College Research Center, has come to each of our meetings and presented on the state of guided pathways. So having the chance to talk with Davis in a group of 12 people is really amazing. We've had presentations from the Center for Community College Student Engagement. Kay McClenny, advisor to the president of the AACC, has attended meetings and given presentations on guided pathways. So I would say, back to your question, Kara, it's probably 4 to 5 hours, a month for me, but this is really timely because, of course, a number of our campuses are working with the provost's office and our vice chancellors doing work on guided pathways at Ivy Tech. So it's really timely. The insight from the variety of different institutions that are represented is terrific, and they're very eager to hear from Ivy Tech as well. It's a voice that's a little bit different from what they've heard in the past, and so we bounce all kinds of ideas off of each other. And given that we're in this COVID world this past year, it's been especially helpful to talk about that. I'd say about 50% of our conversations with each other are just around other hot topics, funding in higher education, governmental affairs, fundraising in the time of COVID, campus safety. So we talk about a lot of issues that touch on our students and our staff.
This is Matt, and per month with the Student Success Commission, it seems like about 2 to 3 hours a month are used. But what's interesting is a lot of the other work that we do at the college comes into play with what we're contributing to the commission. And there's a lot of benefits from the research and work that we do for the commission.
You all highlighted a little bit some of the professional benefits you're already seeing from being on the commission. So David, some of the work that you're doing with another council, Dean, the college's guided pathways work, Matt, the opportunity to network and to really see some of these other things that we're doing at the college together. What other professional benefits are you gaining from serving on these commissions?
I think I've learned a lot about legislation that perhaps I hadn't known before. For instance, how many things are tied to federal policy and practice. So we have 46 million people in what is constituted rural areas in the United States, but they hadn't changed the definition of what rural was. And so the rural used to be communities from 2,500 to 20,000. And that obviously had changed with population shifts. That was done in the 1990s. And they did, in fact, through various efforts, alter that number in December to 10 to 35,000 for rural communities, which opens up federal opportunities for funding, not only for community college programs, but also for small rural hospitals and grant efforts, et cetera. So it was an important change, and AACC and other organizations were finding that as a significant change that they were working jointly on to achieve to benefit those rural areas and those small and rural community colleges.
I think the professional network has been invaluable. I mean, I've already made some contacts through this commission that, and some of these are college presidents I knew a little bit before, but I'd never taken a deep dive into how their institutions functioned. And what's exciting about Pathways work, which is what our focus is that, it touches on so many different aspects of our institutions. And so someone will throw out a question about, how does your college address a particular issue with advising, for example, or engagement with adjunct faculty, for example. And then we get a number of different responses. And what's even more amazing than this network is the network that these leaders have. And so a lot of times we'll refer each other to still other institutions. I've talked a lot about our student commitments, for example, in our meetings, and there's a lot of interest in that. And, just exchanging ideas, providing a lot of support. We had a meeting in the fall where we talked a lot about the state of our campuses and institutions in COVID. It made me both appreciate a lot of what we have in our statewide approach, because we've had the resources to really focus on the questions, but also how we could benefit from other types of institutions as well, what they were hearing and doing. So the network, I think that's the most exciting thing, is just to broaden our network even beyond the great network that we already have across our system.
I would have to concur with Dean. I totally agree with that. For me personally and professionally, it's hearing about persistence and resilience, which we talked about at our last meeting on April 9th, and just the efforts that other institutions are putting forth on retention of their students. So it's professionally, it's very beneficial.
So what do you think that Ivy Tech as a whole gains through the participation each of you gives to the commissions?
I think it's certainly a different perspective since we're a statewide institution. And so we have a very broad view of our communities and policy and practice that might not be the usual norm for other people in other states or other colleges. And I think that is beneficial. We talked about the network that we develop, and I believe that's true, but I think we have people many times referring to us for policies and procedures and questions about how we are directing. So I think we learn a great deal, but I think it raises the image, honestly, of the college within these other organizations.
Yeah, to pick up from that, I would say the opportunity to be on a national stage with really forward-looking institutions, very much like us. We come from different backgrounds and we have a little bit different focus, of course, and that's true across our own system as well to meet the needs of each of our communities, but a chance to work with leaders that are really, pushing toward the future of what college looks like it's just really exciting to be among a group of leaders. And of course, each has done this in different ways. And so it also helps us get from the concept, to what that reality could look like for us or how it could be shaped into a reality for Ivy Tech. I would echo what David said as well. I think there's a lot of excitement from the other commission members that Ivy Tech is so engaged now. Because although we've been to AACC meetings for a number of years, I've attended them for quite a few years. It's different when you're serving on a commission. You're helping to shape the direction of the organization in that national conversation. And we are very welcomed in that conversation. There's a lot of interest in how we function. Rod and I both answer lots of questions about, how our own campuses might do things differently, Indianapolis versus a Kokomo or even a site. And so it really is a rich conversation. I think it's a great opportunity for us and for our peers.
I would just kind of add on, I think it's that exposure that it's giving the college, because so many people have heard the name, but actually meeting the individuals that serve for the college and seeing the innovative techniques and innovative initiatives that we're implementing has really opened their eyes to us. And we get quite a few questions on the Student Success Commission too, for how we're doing some of the things that we've done. So it's been very positive for the college overall.
So I don't actually know if this next question is true for any of you, but I'll go ahead and ask it and then we'll cut it out if it's not, I guess. If you did not get on the commission that was your first preference, are you glad that you took the appointment that they offered you?
I actually got on my first choice, which I was quite happy about, but I would have been very excited about my second choice as well, which was the college readiness, which we have only one person, I think, on Ivy Tech is on that committee.
I don't remember what my choices were. I was thinking about this. I'm sure I have an email somewhere with it. This might not have been my first choice because I've done some of this work before, but it would have probably depended on the mood, I would say, when I filled out the survey. I'm very thankful, though, for being on this commission. I think it's a great fit. And I think when I signed up, we hadn't rolled out our Guided Pathways initiative at Ivy Tech. So I think that came after I'd signed up, but before I started serving. And so that convergence just has worked out really well. And honestly, I think, one other network that's important, I mentioned Rod a couple of times, just having a chance to work with a vice chancellor from another campus has been amazing. We've had a lot of side conversations in between the meetings about this and talked about giving some presentations to different groups at our campuses and statewide about this, his idea, which I think is a really good one. So, there's a lot of cross-fostering of ideas that's happening, I think, among our campuses through some of these conversations and with those that are on the other commissions. We've bounced ideas off of each other and asked lots of questions and done some reporting out to our peer groups as well.
Well, and I'll make this open invitation to those of you serving on the commissions now, both in this conversation, and we have several other team members. If you ever want to come on the podcast just to talk about the work your commission is doing specifically, we would love to have you back. So keep that in mind. We'd love to do that. Is there anything we haven't asked you that you would like to share with our listeners?
I would say one thing I would add is if you have an opportunity to serve, on one of these or an opportunity to express interest, you should definitely do it. The worst that can happen is there isn't an opportunity available for a while, but I think this would be beneficial to anyone in a leadership position or that is interested in a leadership position at a campus or at systems office to participate in one of the commissions.
John, do you want to add in?
Yeah, I would just concur and kind of say what Dean has said, but I do think, and we've said this before, but it's the ability to network nationally, and it's also the ability to shine the light on Ivy Tech and the great work that we're doing at this institution. So I would, again, encourage people who are in leadership positions, put yourself out there. I actually thought there would be no chance at all of me being selected. And I was very pleasantly surprised to get that letter from Walter Bumpus saying, congratulations, you've been appointed. So, take a chance and do it.
It's been a very positive experience no matter what. And everyone should be looking at AACC and either to attend the conference or attend any of the seminars that they do, because they really are a very influential body that are influencing what is happening in the world of the community college. So involvement at any level is important for everyone at Ivy Tech.
I think we all have more to learn, and the networking allows that, and also the expertise that comes to discuss where technology, for instance, is going and how that will benefit us. And that allows us to have a greater knowledge to plan for the future. I know a lot more about low flying satellites than I ever thought I would know now. And broadband.
Why low flying satellites, David?
Low flying satellites are something being developed by SpaceX and Elon Musk. And the goal is, when you presently have broadband that's very expensive, et cetera, if you have low flying satellites, they can link to the existing towers and provide access to rural areas at a much lower cost and a much more convenient, and therefore there would be greater investment in those than the cost of trying to lay cable and go to these different areas. So.
Well, we end every episode with a call to action. There is still an opportunity to apply for the various commissions. As of now, the commissions who have the least amount of Ivy Tech applications are the Commission on College Readiness, the Commission on Public Relations, Advocacy and Advancement, the Commission on Small and Rural Colleges, and the Commission on Structured Pathways. If you have an interest in serving, we ask that you send that to Mary Jane Michalak at MMICHALAK at ivytech.edu by May 14th, 2021. That'll be in the show notes as well. Thanks again for joining this episode of Our College, Your Voices. I want to thank the members of today's panel: John Cowles, Vice Chancellor for Student Success at the Indianapolis campus; Matt Probst, Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs at the Lawrenceburg campus; Dean McCurdy, Chancellor at the Kokomo campus; and David Baith, Chancellor at the Lafayette campus. I'm your host, Kara Monroe. You can connect with me on Twitter at KNM Tweets. Our producer is Sarah Ferguson. You can reach us by email at ourcollegeyourvoices@ivytech.edu. Don't forget, if you're an Ivy Tech faculty or staff member, you can join our Microsoft Teams listener community. Instructions on that come out every Thursday. Our website, where you'll find links to show notes, is ivytech.edu/podcast. Production assistance for this and every episode provided by Becky Campbell and the Ivy Tech Community College Creative Services team, and our podcast concept is by Matthew Pittman. Theme music and post-production services, where she'll have to edit out my puppy barking, are provided by Jen Eads at the Brassy Broadcasting Company, and we will talk to you next time on Our College, Your Voices.